So, while recording podcast of 9/9/23, Mr. Perry cut it off twice. So that's two counts they'll charge you, I'm sure, with tampering with evidence. These are to express my intent. This is Cynthia Ortiz. These are the Charles Perry Stalker podcast. And we were just talking about these are to establish mens rea, or criminal intent, malicious aforethought, and premeditation. When we get information in, it doesn't do any good to just not do anything with it until Mr. Perry does something harmful. We put it out immediately. Then when he does it, we can say, well, I told you so. I did say. Everyone knew. We kept saying. So when we get that kind of information, when we got the information that Michael Neely was drugged and did not kill Chief Miller, I sent an email out to the Florida State's Attorney in January 2020. I sent a more stern one in February, then again in March. And I think each time it got a little more strongly worded. And first responders confirmed that in May. So where did we get the information? It's interesting, nobody has ever asked me that. Nobody, Gene Mitchell and Travis Myers, the attorneys on the case, it's relevant information, and not one of them said, how did you get that information? I was waiting for that. I wasn't going to volunteer it up because I needed to see where they were. That was a sting up. I wanted to get, I want incriminating information coming from those two. If this is corruption and there's collusion, so that can happen from them telling me things I didn't mean to say, or it can happen by them not saying things they probably should have said. Well, if you're an attorney representing Michael Neely and your job is to represent him to the best of your ability in his legal defense, and you have someone call you and go, I knew he was drugged before. I sent a letter to an email to the Florida State's Attorney, and I said he was drugged, he didn't do it. You got the wrong guy. In January, then again in February, then again in March. Would your first question not be, my logical first question would be, how did you know that? Who gave that to you? Give me as much as you can as to how you came to have that information. Because that's pertinent. Is it not? It is pertinent. It's pertinent because it might tell me who did it. So if it's not my client, it's this guy. Well, had they asked me, Mr. Perry's under investigation. That investigation revealed in his conversations, Mike Neely was drugged and didn't do it. So that would indicate Mr. Perry did, depending on those conversations. Would it not? Mr. Perry had motive. Mr. Perry had means. Mr. Perry had opportunity. Hire hitman. That's his thing. So it's also the second time you got a drugging. Evidence is not properly collected, so there's a Brady violation, and you've got a false arrest when the person doesn't die. It happened to me, it happened to Mike Neely both times within a week of a police report being filed that was either flat out stalking report, or this could be stalking report. Mike Neely took my report 6 days before Mr. Perry blew up his life. I testified in a deposition, and the questions were about emails being sent. Gosh, you're sending me a lot of emails. Well, Mr. Mitchell actually sent you 5 and no more than that. And if I remember correctly, the 5th one said something to the effect of, there's more evidence that I want to send you. These all have attachments of evidence. But I don't want to bog down your email box, your inbox, so I'm going to set up a Dropbox for you, which I did. So how is that relevant to your client's innocence or guilt? When I'm talking to somebody, I'm looking for them to say something that indicates guilt or innocence, either way. I don't care which one. All I want is fact. I'm not going to be factually ignorant like Mr. Perry's people are. It's either we're going to cover this up and pretend we're stupid, or we really are stupid. But for me, for the people I work with, Mr. Warman's calling around, we need our supervisor. when it's legally required for you to have information on a need to know, then you'll have it. Before that, it's not going to happen. They didn't call you, did they? You're wasting their time. What he said in March 2020 is, Cynthia's privacy better not be invaded anymore. Do not watch her in the privacy of her home against her will anymore. Do not impose and burden them, her and her family, contacting them anymore. Do not impose and burden them and put strain on the finances. Stealing her money. She better not be broke ever again. Get your hands out of her wallet. You can do it, or I'm going to do it for you. That's your only choice. We quote you, you're not quoting us. You seem to get confused about that. We have your people's names, your code words, you don't have ours. You don't even know who to call, Mr. Perry. You get confused about who is in control of the flow of information. It's us, not you. Always has been. It started before the McNamara email. McNamara email was just the first you know of. Stop getting confused about that. You look ridiculous. So the mafia guy we call Vito, that's not his real name, is like, here's the thing. What kind of man humiliates himself like that? That's not a man. That's a pussy. I agree with her. Are they going to sue me too? They're going to sue me too? I'd like to see that. You got an unstable company with a diagnosed mentally ill man running it, making very bad decisions that are ruled by his dick. I'm quoting him. So you get sex perverts, that's all they do, and they make the worst decisions ever, and their company is devalued every time they do that. When she's quoting you, by the way, he tells my guy, when she's quoting them, every time they devalue themselves and their organization and their companies, and they give a whole lot of value to you and her. They increase your value every time you get sensitive information you don't want in the wrong hands. And it sounds like Mr. Perry just sits around all day and just does that. Just provokes that and spends money doing it. So all of that right there, and drawing attention that you don't want, and your associates find out about it. They don't want to do business with you. I don't want them quoting me next. I don't want them looking into me next, because I got an association with you, and nobody will call you back. You don't understand what my guy's like. If he can't understand what I say when I tell him, just comply with the law. Don't invade her privacy. Don't contact her or her family. Mr. Perry, don't invade my privacy. Mr. Perry, listen to the words I'm saying. Don't invade my privacy. It's against my will. Don't contact me or my family. It's against my will. Don't take my money. Get your fucking hands out of my wallet. Keep your hands to yourself. Get some dignity. Everybody gets rejected. You don't be a girl about it. You grow up, put your big boy pants on, and act like a man. And that's what he said. What kind of man humiliates himself like that, and his family and his associates? That's not a man. So he showed himself weak. Very weak. And that's something that you could just take over. And whatever parts of that business and that organization, let's say they're doing XYZ, let's say they're doing some money laundering, let's say that, and I'm not quoting Vito at this point, I'm just saying, here's how he's looking at it. Let's say they got a little money laundering going, let's say they got a little human trafficking and sex pervert shit, and they might have a strip club or two or something. Okay, maybe he wants to keep the strip clubs, maybe he wants to keep the laundering, maybe he wants nothing to do with your trafficking and whatever pervert shit you got going. He said, I don't like the sex crimes businesses because they're run by perverts who think with their dick, and they fuck it up every time. They make themselves weak every time. They can't control themselves. Mr. Perry cannot control himself. He shows himself weak, which makes somebody like me very interested in taking over his businesses and picking them apart. And then his money goes in my wallet. We'll see if he thinks that's cute. When I do it to him, what he's doing to Cynthia. Okay? Just like that. You asked about it being mafia, and so we asked about it being mafia. Guess what? We found some interest in mafia. Don't you want to live in that world? You want to keep up with those people? You better act like you want to keep up with those people, because it looks like you don't. So, hang on. Alright, so that's, now you got law enforcement and them on your back. Call around, Mark, see if they'll call you back. They won't call you back. Our guys can get a lot done with anonymity. And then every day, Mr. Perry asks me, is it this guy leaking? Is it that guy leaking? I'm like, oh my God. Why would I fucking help you? First of all. Second of all, how many different ways can I say the same thing to you for you to get it? I'm not told who the leaks are. It's a need to know. I don't need to know that, so I don't. I don't even care. What is wrong with you? How many times do I have to repeat myself slowly for you to understand what I'm saying? I mean, come on. That is getting on everybody's last nerve, having to repeat for you. So we have this strategy that we use. Okay, do you see this right here? Targeted for a pullover. And this is Chief Miller right here talking about, hey, he got tired of doing that, being asked to do that. You want to get the information off my car. Insurance. Let's see what kind of insurance she has. Because if we wreck it just right, it's total. Maybe it's not covered, maybe it is. Let's see if it is. If it's not, wreck the shit out of it so she can't replace it and can't get a rental. Once she's on foot and digging out of a dumpster, how much am I worth digging out of a dumpster? I don't know, but Vito thinks my value goes up every time we quote you. Every time we get sensitive information, you don't want in the wrong hands. Our hands are the wrong hands. Once we have it, it's you're in some trouble. Okay, so there's that. Also, I mean, you guys are slow. It's funny as hell. This is so easy. It's not fair. When we get what you just said, like this one, August 19, I'm gonna have our car towed. It's not legit. It's not legal. But I'm gonna have our car towed and sold before she figures that out. Last sentence here that's highlighted. And I get that to you, and you run into a courtroom and you put it on the docket and claim that's harassment. Okay. Do you know what I did? I've been doing it for years. Because you guys wanted us to stop doing that. So you went to Judge Cummins and said, she can't email us anymore, right? Did you not? And we did it anyway, did we not? Okay, because first of all, I was never in a hearing with Judge Cummins. He's never heard from me. You did go duck hunting with him, though, right? There's not one reason on his rulings to deny my motions. Nothing, just denied. No reason. So there's some fraud there that you could get charged with in a criminal case, right? The more of these that we put on, that we give to you, and then you take it to go run into we got to file this. It's evidence of harassment. And we're going, it's evidence of mains right, criminal intent. It's evidence of premeditation. And it's evidence of malicious aforethought in a criminal case that's building and building and building and building. And every time I say, well, I told you so, I did say. And you run into the courtroom and for me, save me a hell of a lot of time and add it to the docket. And now it's out there, public record for anyone in law enforcement from anywhere to see from now and forever. Or a mafia organization. So there's that. Thank you. We knew that's what you would do. It was so, all the pullovers. Have her pulled over, have her pulled over, have her pulled over. Take her tail light out to have her pulled over. And then you did. I had to go change it. My guy tells me, get up and go check your tail light. We just recorded them talking about taking it out to have you pulled over. So I went, before you go to work, check it. You just walk out and get in your car when you leave, don't you? You don't check your lights. I checked mine that day and it was out. Sure as shit, I told you so. Is this on the docket? Did you put that on the docket for me? It saves me a lot of time. And, okay, so we got that. And then, so there's this list, right? There's a lot of lists in this situation. The list of times you were recorded asking somebody to pull me over. Call Broken Arrow and have them pull her over. And then you got testimony problems because then you get somebody from Broken Arrow, maybe Chief Berryhill, I don't know, but you got somebody to testify. Oh, they never asked us to pull her over. And then somebody goes, yeah, but that's not what she said. She didn't say that you did. What she said is Charles said, have Broken Arrow police pull her over. Whether or not that went from that person to Broken Arrow police, she didn't speak to that. All she spoke to is that Charles expressed intent to contact Broken Arrow and ask them to pull her over. Whether or not the phone call was actually made or not, we don't know. We do, but we didn't talk about it, did we? We're going to save that for your criminal case, whether or not you actually made the phone call and who made it for you. Okay. Meantime, you can have them go into court and testify to something they didn't see or didn't hear, weren't around, they weren't even in the room when you said. All we're stating is, here's the statement we're making, it's fact, as fact, or alleged fact. Charles Perry said, have Broken Arrow police pull her over. Get her door dashing in Broken Arrow. We hacked her DoorDash app. We have people call in orders that we decide, that we know. Most of them have a doorbell camera or a garage camera or something. Some sort of surveillance. And get around an algorithm that chooses drivers randomly. DoorDash loves you. They're like, we don't want to really have our reputation as being an app that's being used for organized crime. So they were pretty upset to hear about that. One of the people our guys talked to. So I don't know which ones you're talking to, but the ones we talked to were like, yeah, that's not cool. I'm not cool with that. So get her make sure she's door dashing in Broken Arrow. Make sure our people call in the orders. Get around the algorithm that chooses driver random, so we make sure we get her. And then she takes the food, we get the picture of her on the doorbell camera or the garage camera, wherever our cameras are. And then, can we make proper ID? Can we prove that's her? Mr. Powell says all the time. Can we confirm that's her? Right? Okay, so now I'm just going to work in Oklahoma, where I moved to get away from Mr. Perry. Where I moved to not have to deal with this kind of thing. And my friends that have known me a long time are like, yes, she's not canned food. How do you go from a professional business owner like we knew her to be, and a lobbyist and whatever, fighting for her patients and for her kids, interacting with elected officials every day, and surgeons and all, we had a very all beautiful things, a beautiful life, all of a sudden she's a stripper and a DoorDasher. What did Charles Perry do to her? Because that's not her kind of guy at all. By the way, when's the last time they saw each other? 2013. Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you now, if he makes her sleep in her car or allows it to happen and have no food and no bath, he's not worth a shit, and that's not her thing. And if he caused it to happen, he's abusive, not her thing. She's not going to put up with it. That's why she's sleeping in her car. She's fighting him off. She's fighting against him, because if she wants something, believes in something, she'll fight with everything she's got for it. So if she's fighting against you, she doesn't want you. You're not good enough. You're fucking not even close. And so don't bullshit me. Yeah, Saeed would have never let that happen. Maybe it's a bad economy. Maybe so. But I don't think so. Even if it was, Saeed would have never let that happen. Flat started a business for her and made sure that business made money, so it never happened when she was with him. That's Cindy we know. Now, the Cindy that you have tried to make her be is fighting against you, and I don't know what to tell you. You're not what she wants. You're not her kind. You don't fit in with our crowd. You don't even get close. I don't do canned food, God. I sure as shit don't. Mr. Perry, when you contact me, we always get more stuff just like this.